Everyone, I'm Cheryl Whitney Lower. I am the Associate Director for Internships and Early Engagement at the Center for Careers and Internships. Welcome to the Winter Term 2023 Internship Pre-Departure presentation. This session is being recorded on December 14th, 2022. The purpose of this presentation is to give you some tips and recommendations on preparing for your internships and having a successful experience. Also, I'd like to go over some important obligations you have related to earning credit for the internship. I realize how busy the end of the semester is, so I decided to provide a recording instead of hosting an in-person meeting so that you can watch this recording at a time that is most convenient to you. First of all, congratulations on getting a winter term internship. I think you'll find it's a great way to spend winter term. I'm sure there were a lot of reasons why you chose this option. Some of you were motivated by wanting to gain experience or explore a certain career path. It may have been because you didn't find a J-term class that you were that interested in. Some of you might want to spend more time in your home city or be away from campus and explore another region. Whatever your motivation is, I'm glad you're able to have this experience. Some of you are going to be on campus doing a local or on-campus internship, and some of you are doing remote internships from campus. I'm always inspired by the breadth and depth of your interests. You're all seeking to make a contribution, gain experience, explore different fields, connect to your academics, and add to your story as you go through Middlebury. Today, I'm going to give you an overview of winter term, talk about some tips for preparing for and being successful in your internship, including some advice that previous supervisors have given. I'm also going to talk about information and deadline dates for your internship requirements, and we'll walk you through the Experiential Learning Lifecycle Hub, which is a Middlebury resource and reflection space to prepare and support you in your internship. I'm going to tell you more about this site very soon. I realize many of you watching this presentation have done internships before, and there's wisdom in the group. But there are others for whom this is your first internship. These tips that I'm about to give you and advice are based on feedback from previous Middlebury interns, their supervisors, and CCI's peer career advisors from over the years. So it's not just generic advice, it's specific for Middlebury students. And I think everyone will gain something from these tips. For those of you who have had previous internships, I'll let you know how you can share that wisdom with your peers. A winter term internship provides a short-term experiential learning opportunity connected to your academics. There are 81 of you doing a winter internship for credit this winter term, and you are sophomore Febs through super seniors. You were involved in medical-related internships, scientific research, nonprofits, startups, law, communication, arts and film, teaching, environmental work, and more. Some of you are doing more independent or hands-on work. Some you are all doing a combination of different modes of internships, either remote, in-person, or hybrid. And for those of you who are doing remote internships, I just want to assure you that they can be really meaningful and engaging and great learning opportunities, but they do have their challenges. So we're going to talk about that in a little while. And to get us started and get us inspired, here's a photo of 4 Middlebury students in Costa Rica last winter term, where they taught English lessons to kids and adults at a local library. We have this internship every year. Preparing for your internship. I'm sure you could just show up at your internship with no preparation and you might have a great experience, but there are definitely steps you can take to make it even better and to be really prepared, which might make you more successful and satisfied with your experience in the long run. These are pretty short internships. Most of them are 4 weeks or slightly longer. So the better prepared you are, the more you'll get out of it. One of the best ways you can prepare for your internship is to read up on the organization. Take a deep dive. Learn about their culture and what their current priorities are. Ask your supervisor if there's anything you should read ahead of time so that you can hit the ground running. Talk to your supervisor about your goals for the internship and ask what they are hoping for. What do they want you to learn? What do they want you to contribute to? What projects will you be involved with? And what are the deliverables that they're expecting from you? How does your supervisor like to be communicated with? How often will you meet? Tell them that you'd like to get feedback along the way. Mention some of your interests and what you'd like to learn. You identified some learning goals in your application for credit, that personal statement that you wrote. Think about those goals and also what else you want to get out of this internship. It's much better to articulate these ahead of time to see if your supervisor has a way of incorporating some of these goals. Don't be shy and then be disappointed. Being upfront about what you want to get out of the internship can help some supervisors who might structure the experience differently once they know more about your interests. Or if there are particular things you want to learn or know about, they can potentially connect you with other employees from whom you can learn. You might explore LinkedIn Learning before or even during your internship to watch some instructional videos. They have skill-building mini courses and tutorials to teach you more advanced Excel skills, how to build a website, how to manage a classroom, presentation skills, and so much more. You can access this through your Handshake page in the resources section. And finally, look at Middlebury's Experiential Learning Lifecycle Hub. I'll walk you through it in a minute, but there you can read tips from previous interns, and those with previous experience can also post suggestions there. So remote internships. Some of you have already done remote internships and feel like you have it down. If not, or you are up for making it the best it can be, the Lifecycle Hub has a remote internship section that is helpful articles that may help you make the most of a remote internship. Definitely make sure you set structured hours each day for your internship, set up an office space, dress professionally, and make an extra effort to communicate with your supervisor and coworkers. You may need to take more initiative for communicating than you're used to with a remote internship. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about tips that we've collected from both current and past peer career advisors at CCI. They start out by saying, relish being able to develop new skills. Problem solving and communication especially will be key for remote internships. But for all internships, you might be given a project without a lot of specifics. You'll need to learn to manage a project and ask the supervisor for feedback rather than depending on step-by-step instructions. Stay professional. Treat this internship like it is a month-long interview for your dream job. When you think of it this way, dressing professionally, being punctual, and using proper etiquette all tend to come naturally. Abide by dress codes or dress for the role you want. Always show up slightly early, and if you're late, make sure you communicate this with your employer. That's so important. Please just over-communicate. Be positive and open-minded. Try to get the most out of your experience, even if it's not exactly what you had hoped for. Be a sponge. Approach each task as an opportunity to learn something new or challenge yourself. Don't be afraid to ask for help, but try to figure it out on your own first. Employers really value initiative and a willingness to teach yourself what you don't know. If you really can't figure it out, you've tried and you've done some research and you've looked on LinkedIn Learning and Googled and you still can't figure it out, then ask for help. Then that's appropriate. More tips. Don't sell yourself short. Liberal arts students have lots of soft skills that make up for the hard skills you may be missing. You know how to research and write. You've worked with peers on projects. You were chosen for qualities to attend Middlebury. Demonstrate curiosity, initiative, and a willingness to learn. Communicate, communicate, communicate. Communicate when you need help, when you finish your work, when you have extra time. Communicate your progress and accomplishments daily or weekly to keep your supervisor and others up to date. Triple check your work. This means emails that you're writing, reports, any sort of written communication. It's just so important to double check what you have just written before you send it off. Be proactive. If you finish your work, ask a coworker if there's anything else you can do to help. Or maybe you can anticipate a need. One intern created a manual for other interns, which was very appreciated. It wasn't something that was asked of that intern. If you're bored, you feel like you don't have enough work, ask if you can do a research project that will help you learn something about the field and may be of value to the organization as well. So you might as well do something productive, even if they haven't given you enough work or you're in between projects. Think about how can you fill that time really productively and learn more, just really sink yourself into that experience. Be creative, bring your perspective to the workplace. If you've completed your task, but realize there's a more efficient way to do it next time, be creative in how you think about it and share your ideas. But make sure you've learned about the organization first. Obviously, you don't want to start making suggestions your first days on the internship before you've really learned the culture and how things work there. Network. If you are in person, get to know other staff, take walks, set up a meeting, go out for coffee. Or if you're working remotely, ask for a Zoom meeting to learn a little more about what that person does. And then think about work-life balance. Work hard, but also take time for yourself. Exercise and stay healthy. For instance, some of you are doing research on terrorism and extremism this winter term. That can be really heavy stuff. So it's important to take care of yourself. Here are some tips from previous interns that we've collected over the years. If you are given assignments that you don't know how to do, or you find yourself lacking some of the hard skills you need, use your creativity and Middlebury perseverance to teach yourself and learn on the job. LinkedIn Learning, again, this comes up. Reach out to peers or recent alums on Mid to Mid if you're feeling intimidated by a supervisor who is several levels ahead. There's one example of ways to use Mid to Mid. Be open to learning to manage your time in different ways. It's not like school with assignment due dates that are given to you by a professor. You might have 4 projects that you're given to finish before the end of your experience, and there's no real timeline. You just know you have to finish them. So you really need to figure out how to get them all done, how to structure that project. So develop your own timeline calendar, ask for advice, or try some online organizational tools. Learn from mistakes. Don't beat yourself up when you make a mistake. It's inevitable that it's going to happen at some point, and that's okay. That means you're stretching yourself. When you make a mistake, apologize, own it, and figure out how you can use it as a learning opportunity. It's true what they say, failing forward can be the best way to learn. This is a great one. Write down your daily or weekly accomplishments. This will help you see the bigger picture of what you accomplished and will help you in the future when you're adding details to your resume, to your cover letter, or when answering questions in interviews. Consider sharing these updates with your supervisor. Have conversations with people to learn more. This is called networking, but it's really having conversations. Sample questions you can ask. Perhaps at the end of a meeting, you can say, I was intrigued by what you said in the meeting about such and such, or I'd love to learn more about this, or I'd love to learn more from you about this field. Could we set up a time to chat? Next, we're moving on to advice from supervisors. Again, these are comments that we've learned from supervisors over the years, both from evaluations and things they told us. And just to start out with, many of you are going to be working with supervisors remotely, which presents its own unique challenges. So you may have less interaction and you need to work harder to connect. It's not just their responsibility to stay in touch and be connected. You need to work really hard to make this happen. Based on what we have heard from both supervisors and interns in the past, here's how we would sum it up. Understand expectations. Ask questions when the need to clarify arises, but try to bundle your questions together instead of walking down the hall or sending an email every time you have a question. Take initiative. Volunteer to take on additional assignments. Look for opportunities to build desired skills, especially presentation skills, which supervisors often tell us are in need of improvement. Be proactive. If you finish an assignment, ask for more work or come up with your own ideas to educate yourself and provide some value to the organization if no one gets back to you right away. Communicate, especially in providing updates on project progress, any roadblocks, and whether support is needed. Be a team player always, even if virtually. Keep an open mind, be ready to learn, and look for opportunities to learn more. Participate actively in meetings. Don't be afraid to contribute and speak up. And then for those of you who are using Excel in your internship and feel that you need more advanced skills, once you get there and get into it and realize, oh, I really need to learn to know more about this. Again, use LinkedIn Learning to do some of their tutorials. You can access LinkedIn Learning through your Handshake page, and then go to Career Center and Resources. You'll find it there. Those of you working for focus advisory services or finance-related internships, you especially, we're always told that Excel skills could be better. Take advantage of and ask for every professional development opportunity you can. If there are meetings you can join, phone calls you can sit in on, ask if you can participate in those. Sometimes you have to ask. They don't think to invite you. This is a great one. Take careful notes when receiving assignment instructions. You might even want to bring a notebook. Ask follow-up questions in the beginning and throughout the assignment. Ask what done looks like if you need clarification. Like once you finish the project, what would that look like? And prioritize thorough and careful work over quantity of progress. Cultivate attention to detail, such as proofreading before turning in assignments. If your internship is in person, confirm appropriate attire before you begin. And remember that appropriate attire matters in Zoom meetings, as well as does your background. Network at every possible opportunity. This means having conversations with people to learn what they do and what they know. And be sure to tell them about you and your interests too. Respect established office hours, whether remote or in person. Most especially, be on time. If you're on a different time zone from your employers, you need to come to an agreement ahead of time, which hours you'll be working. When a problem arises, come up with potential solutions and then go to your boss with it. Try to figure it out first, instead of just saying, oh, this didn't work. See if you can come up with some solutions when you bring it up. This seems obvious, but stay off your phone while you're working. Nothing frustrates supervisors more. And finally, always put forth your best effort. It is noticed and it is appreciated. And the more you put into the experience, the more you'll get out of it, I promise. A few more tips related to supervisors. A supervisor who's impressed with you will offer a good recommendation for future positions. Remember that tip from the PCAs about viewing an internship as a month-long interview. That's a good one. But this doesn't mean you can't make mistakes. Don't be afraid of them. They're just inevitable. Most supervisors realize that to really learn means you'll occasionally make mistakes. Just don't let the mistakes define you, and don't let them be from being sloppy. Most supervisors will respect you if you own the mistake, demonstrate how you can learn from it, And in most cases, make sure you don't make the same mistake twice. Some experience, like scientific lab experience, you're going to fail all the time. That's part of experiments, right? You have to try something. If it doesn't work, you set it up again, you do it again. Some students define that as, they've talked about learning from those failures and realizing, oh, that really is part of the learning process. This tip is about thinking about developing a personal board of advisors. This doesn't mean an actual group of people who are going to advise you, but sort of an imaginary board of people who can give you advice over the years, be support for you, maybe mentor you. So as you are working at your internship, try to identify, might that be your supervisor or other staff members or even some peers? Are those people going to be helpful to you? And are those people that you want to stay in touch with in a really authentic way? Now for some tips on communication. Always respond to emails from your supervisor, colleagues, and clients. We had a couple of students doing remote internships last summer who just went silent, and there's really no excuse for this. Sometimes problems come up, or you even have emergencies, or you're sick. In most cases, almost all cases, you can still send a quick email just to let people know what's happening. Same thing if you have deadlines and you're missing them for some reason, you just need to communicate. You need to stay in touch. Be responsible. I just can't stress this enough. Keep your supervisor up to date on your progress. Keep them informed on what you're working on and what you've accomplished. And then always use formal language in your emails and always, again, proofread them before you send them. It's never appropriate to send an email that starts out with, hey. So if you would like some advice before, during, or after your internship, or you could consider meeting with a CCI or CTLR advisor in your field. So I wanted to list everybody and their areas of expertise. So these are all CCI advisors unless I designate otherwise. Alicia Gomez is the advisor for arts, communications, languages, media and entertainment, and sports. Tracy Himmel Isham is a social impact advisor, which includes education, environment, food and agriculture, international development, social services, nonprofits, NGOs, etc. Tim Moshauer is government, law, and policy, and he also covers consulting. Ursula Olander is the advisor for business and finance. Jeff Sawyer is the advisor for technology, data science, and data analytics. And then Mary Lothrop and Hannah Benz work out of the CTLR, and they are the health professions and science research advisors. So they advise also on internships, careers, graduate schools, and they even do some academic advising as well, especially in the health professions or those who want to go out, go into the science fields, STEM fields. My name again is Cheryl Whitney Lower, and you can come to me for general internship advising. I can talk about our summer funding program, answer any questions that you have. I'm going to cover some of the requirements and logistics for you in order to complete your internship and get credit for it. So you need to complete the internship in the time frame that you told us in your application, and any significant changes need to be okayed by me or someone else at CCI. You can write to internships@middlebury.edu if you have any changes. You can also write to that email with any changes to your supervisor. This is really important. If you get to your internship and you find that, oh, the person you thought was going to be your supervisor is actually a different person, send us the new name of that person and their email, because the person we have on record is the one who will get your evaluation. You'll all need to post a written reflection on the Experiential Learning Lifecycle Hub during your internship and comment on other students' posts. I have sent you instructions in an email. So you should plan to do this reflection about halfway through your internship so that you can both reflect yourself on how things are going, but also update CCI and everyone else who's doing an internship. What's going on? What are you learning? What insights have you gotten? And you'll also get to read other interns' posts. So you should plan to read and write comments on at least 2 of your peers' posts during winter term. By the end of your internship, you need to submit a final academic assignment to the faculty member who agreed to be your academic sponsor. You and that faculty member should determine a due date for that assignment, whether those are weekly journal entries or a final paper or something else. Sometimes it's a presentation. The faculty member needs to email me by February 13th if you are earning credit for the internship. So you and your academic sponsor will work backwards from that date. How much time do they need in order to read and grade your assignment? Your evaluation and final self-reflection essay are due February 8th. Your internship supervisor's evaluation, so the internship supervisor is the person at the organization that's kind of mentoring you and supervising you day to day. So that person's evaluation is also due on February 8th. Links to these evaluation forms will be sent out to you and to them directly from Handshake the last week of winter term. Warn your supervisor that this will come to them as an email from Handshake. The exception is those of you who are going to teach in Costa Rica. You won't have required supervisor evaluations. These will be done by Miguel Fernandez. Now back to everybody. You can also attach any photos to your Handshake experience. The photos aren't required, but they're always appreciated. And these would be photos with you in them or something that demonstrates the story of your internship. For those of you who are receiving grants from CCI, the money should have shown up in your account by direct deposit if your 4-credit application was approved. Some of you are still in process. Since most offices are closed after December 21st, if there are any issues, like sometimes students enter the wrong banking information and the payment doesn't go through, if that happens, you'll probably need to wait until the college reopens on January 3rd. But we'll try to get all those grants processed before December 19th. So hopefully, if there are any issues, we'll find out about those ahead of time. If you received a grant, you'll also write a letter after your internship to the donor who funded the experience and attach it to your Handshake experience. I'll send you a template of that letter later in January. A note to international students who will be or are receiving a grant. Depending on what country you're from, you may have taxes withheld ahead of time. So if you're receiving a $1,500 grant from CCI, sometimes your taxes are withheld ahead of time. So the amount that shows up in your account is actually less than the $1,500. So some final thoughts, and then I'll switch screens and walk you through the Life Cycle Hub that I've been talking about. I hope you all have an amazing experience, but please be safe. We know that COVID is still around. All of you and your supervisors have signed an agreement to abide by college, CDC, local and state guidelines related to COVID-19. And your safety is our #1 priority. So for those of you doing in-person or hybrid internships, if you feel unsafe or uncomfortable, or there's an outbreak of COVID at your workplace, talk to your supervisor first. If that doesn't resolve anything, you can reach out to your academic sponsor or to me or another CCI advisor to brainstorm how you might turn that experience into a remote or hybrid experience, at least temporarily. Remember that the college is closed officially December 23rd through January 2nd, but many offices will close sooner than the 23rd. If you have issues during this time period, many of us will be checking emails periodically. And then once you're starting your internship, you can reach out to your supervisor, to your academic sponsor, to me, or to others at CCI or your deans if issues come up. You can also utilize the Experiential Learning Lifecycle Hub as well. And now I'm going to switch to that site. So give me just a moment. Okay, this is what we call the Experiential Learning Lifecycle Hub. And a group of Middlebury faculty and staff created this resource. Hold on just a second. Let's see, there's supposed to be some pictures. Okay. Well, anyway, when you get on, you will see some pictures. I'm sorry they're not showing up right now. But as I was saying, a group of Middlebury faculty and staff created a resource and reflection site a couple of years ago to prepare, support, and connect experiential learners. This site provides resources to prepare and support you during your internship or experience. It also provides a reflection space or blog that will help deepen your learning. As I've mentioned, you're going to post at least one reflection on this site during your experience. There are a number of reflection prompts to choose from, and this site is open only to the Middlebury community, and you access it through a password. This gives you the chance to step back and reflect on what you were experiencing or learning during your internship. Research shows that reflection deepens learning if it is paired with experience. You did a pre-reflection in your application for credit. That personal statement that you wrote was really a pre-reflection about what you wanted to get out of the internship. Then you'll do this midterm reflection. And then at the end, you'll do an evaluation and self-reflection at the end of your experience. We're not just giving you busy work. This is all part of the educational process and what we call the life cycle of an experience. So first, I'm going to take you to the resource section. And this is set up to support you before, during, and after your internship. So it's these different boxes. Getting ready is a collection of resources and articles available to you to help you prepare for your internship. So it's things like, for some of you who might be going abroad, there's some pre-departure checklists. These are articles setting yourself up for success. The fourth one down was written by one of our peer career advisors, Cindy Cardona, last year. And it's called How to Guarantee a Successful Winter Term Internship. So any article that you want to read or browse through or look at, you just click on it, you go to the little box that says go on it, and then this opens up the article for you. And there's Cindy, and here are the tips that she's giving you to have a successful winter term internship. And then we have this whole section here at the bottom on preparing for and sustaining remote work. So I hope those of you who are doing remote or hybrid internships will look at this section especially. And then the being and doing section, this is the actual immersion or the time that you're going to spend in your internship. And these are all articles and resources that may support you while you're doing the internship. So there's a whole section on ethics, resources for students working with community groups or NGOs, resources for students conducting research. There's a wellness and safety section. And then the learning, this has some articles and resources that can help you kind of dig in more deeply to learn more while you're doing your internship or even before. So there's this section on critical reflection, and then there's a skill building section, which I really recommend. There's just lots of good articles here about top communication tips, how to take advantage of failure, taking the fear out of networking, learning new skills on the job. That's another way to get to LinkedIn Learning. ways to be more inclusive, how to respond to microaggressions, having a professional development mindset, different types of coworkers, understanding different work styles, increasing your productivity at work. And then the last section is called Bringing It Back to Middlebury. And here there are a couple articles about how to end your internship. If you are going abroad or doing something in another country, there's some re-entry from international experiences. And then there are all these ways that you can reconnect to resources at Middlebury. So if you did your internship and felt like, oh, I wish my presentation skills had been better, maybe you want to connect to Oratory Now when you get back. Or you realize the benefit of talking to people to learn more about fields and jobs, and you want to get on Mid to Mid and talk to some alums. Or you work at a startup and you want to check out the Innovation Hubs programs and resources, you can do that. And lastly, I'm going to show you the reflection space. So if you go here, you are going to see this page that tells you why reflection is important and what are some of the benefits of that. And then here, when you're doing your reflections, you can choose from prompts. We have them divided by pre-departure, which means before the internship, during the internship, and after. But you can really look at any of the prompts and use any of them. It doesn't really matter the time frame. So for instance, oops. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Just to look at a couple of these prompts, write about something that has surprised you or a challenge you have faced and what you have learned from it. Or what is the essence of the work you are engaged in and why does that matter to you? So you really can look at any of these prompts and choose one that kind of speaks to you or that you want to write about. And then this is just some sample ones that we have in the post experience. What life lessons have you learned? Share your story. What inspires you now? What will you do about it? As you can see, there's quite a few to choose from. And then I just wanted to end by showing you what the reflections look like. So they show up here, and this is, you can go to that reflection index or the previous postings and look at all the ones that have already been posted as you prepare for your internship. But then during winter term, you'll see more and more of the postings as you all start adding them. And one thing I wanted to show you was on the right-hand side of the page, there are all the kind of abbreviations of the reflection prompts. And one of them is advice to future interns. And so this is those of you who have done internships before and feel like you have some advice, you can populate one of those or multiple ones. And then that advice will live on this site. And so that anyone who's preparing for an internship can read these. But it's also a great way for you to prepare for your internship is to browse through these. So this is Maria. She's one of our peer career advisors. And last summer, she did an internship at the Economic Policy Institute. And her reflection is titled Courage Pays Off. And she talked about, she was at her internship for a while and then realized that she was, oops, I'm about to run out of battery. Hold on. Okay, so she realized once that she was in her internship that she really wanted to take on more responsibility. So she said, I felt I could carry more responsibility and handle more challenging tasks. However, I was contemplating how I could communicate my ambition to my supervisor without coming across as too self-assured and adding more tasks to his plate. Having spent a month at my think tank and getting a good sense of how I can contribute to my organization's work, I came up with an idea for a project for my remaining time. Blog posts are the main ways think tanks contribute to the public policy debate. I decided to write one on the global corporate minimum tax and why Congress should pass it. Having written a proposal, I sent it to my supervisor and received his approval. And then she, talks about all the steps that she took to develop this blog post. And she said, although this independent project significantly contributed to my hard quantitative and qualitative analytical skills, I appreciate it most for the soft skills it gave me, such as an ability to clearly and confidently communicate my ambitions to senior staff at my organization. I want to encourage any student about to begin their own experience not to be limited to the structure of their internship and opportunities that they are already given. It is your experience. If you feel you can make more out of your time at an organization, let your supervisors know about it. Be as specific as possible. Your courage will pay off. So I felt like that's a great way to end. I'm going to be entering you all as users into this site. And by the time I send the email, you will all have been entered in. The way that you get to this site, if you want to get on it before then, is the URL is experiencelifecycle.midcreate.net, and the password is experience, lowercase. So thank you for watching this presentation. I hope you all have a wonderful break and have an amazing internship experience. Please get in contact with me if I can help you or answer any questions. And happy holidays.